Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. As always, thank you for all the support on the recent videos. I do really appreciate it. Today we are heading back into what's technically going to be a casual 1 versus 1, but honestly, there's nothing casual about this one. I am heading up against the British United Kingdom forces once again, and with 2 ongoing tournaments that I am currently participating in. This match is very much about testing different ideas and figuring out the best way to counter them. Still struggling to figure that out 50% of the time. 50% of the time it does work, but we are definitely open to new ideas. So please, if you have any, give me some feedback in the comments. Would love to hear them. But you can definitely consider this a live strategy experiment with a bit of post-game commentary. We'll see what works, what doesn't, and how far we can push it. So let's get on into it. So we are back on the Wiedering Stieg map from the Finest Hour DLC. We are playing as the Germans, not the Finnish this time. We went with the offensive doctrine, which I've heard from a couple different players that this is a pretty okay doctrine, especially to counter the irregular doctrines Churchills. I mean, you know, it's kind of, I'd say 50-50 on which doctrine you might see going up against the British. And I will leave that a secret here, although we will find out soon enough what our opponent does go. We are playing against a guy called Stahlheim, literally the German World War II helmet. So I'm sure I'm pronouncing it wrong. I feel like I'm pretty accurate on that though, but that will be our opponent this time around. We're rushing up the Panzer Grenadier squad because they do get double LMGs, which is fantastic. So I'm trying to just establish a baseline in the middle with those, and then an MG detachment, so 3 MG42s covering all the point, and then just a couple singles to my point and to my opponents, just to get a little vision on either side for the most part here. So we are doing fairly well. We've got a neutral +1 cap at this point, and I honestly think my opponent was playing a little too passive here. He took up a lot of the pre-made, pre-dug-in defensive positions in the back, but he didn't really push his guys into the point, which is probably his first mistake, especially with the Brit numbers. He should have just pushed the point as hard as possible, keep me out of it, but so far, we've managed to kind of really dig ourselves in, which is what I've been trying to maintain when facing the British. He does have a half track with a full squad coming over to my point. We do have that guy out there, and we do get a grenade off, although we only killed 2. I was really hoping we could get quite a few more there, but we did miss. We didn't miss, but you know, it didn't do as much damage as I was hoping. And we are going to bring over a half track there just to kind of deal with that. And earlier we did call in a recon squad, which also comes with 2 MG42s. You can kind of see the big picture here, as many MGs as possible. And these guys are going to be kind of like my flanking push/hold squad on that side. No reason to push this point yet, but I don't want him sneaking up on me. So we are going to catch his attempt at his push with the half track, and he does falter, and he does decide to pull everything back. The pen value on the MG42 does kind of go through that truck pretty easily, which is nice. So we do scare him off, and we're going to start taking up a little bit better positions on the far left, just to kind of put that pressure there and keep him honest. And still very little action going on in the middle. Haven't really had to micro it really at all at this point, other than the initial rush. Probably only a couple dead on our side, which is fairly good. But I do see he's moving over the half track on his end, so I'll counter him, bring mine over. I'm also going to bring up a Panzer Shrek to the middle just to be safe. Never know if anyone's going to rush a vehicle straight in. We're going to try to move up these recons even further, see if we can take a little bit of an advantage. And we will back off the half track with our 3 bullets that we had remaining. And with the guys that he had, it looks like he's just gonna kind of dig in now. So he's a very passive British player at this point. He's not really playing to the Brits' strength, which is their overwhelming numbers. Cheap infantry, really good infantry, and he's kind of letting me establish my line and hold my line, which in most games is really difficult to do against the British, especially the Germans, because you can't match the infantry normally because of how expensive they are, and how much smaller kind of the squads are at times. So I wanted to bring up the half track, kind of harass the guys on the point, but we do hit tier 2, and I'm sure he's got something coming in immediately. So I am going to back the half track immediately off, and I'm already considering what my counter should be. I am going to call in the Lukes, which, if depending on his doctrine, if he's the regular, I can deal with the carriers, the Brent carrier call in. Probably wouldn't go head to head with the Locust, but the Luke should at the very least be able to counter a lot of the infantry spam. And then we do see that it is a medium call-in, and as far as I know, it is just the Crusader AA. So we do now know he's going the offensive doctrine, so we thankfully won't be going against the Churchill Mark 8. I was very much prepared to go against that, hence the offensive doctrine on our end. I was going to utilize the Brumbar to kind of counter it if I could. But we don't have to. Now we're going to be going against the Challenger, which will outrange us, unfortunately, quite heavily. And this Crusader is also going to be a decent nuisance if he plays it right. Just because this thing, with the experience I've had going against it, just destroys me. And it might just be my luck, but I've played some players like BC East, and I just get destroyed. So we are going to bring in a Pack 38 as a counter. I would have wanted the Pack 40, but the timer is just so far away, and there's nothing really else to counter this. And he also has a Stuart that he's coming to kind of counter the Lukes with, and I stupidly drive it into his line of sight instead of away. I didn't realize the building was actually giving me cover initially. So we are going to get the Lukes thankfully out of here. We're going to bring it all the way back. Trying to attach the pack to the half track. Thought I had it, but it does not want to get on there. And now I'm going to bring up the pack to try to deal with some of these light vehicles. But we do now see, thanks to the Crusader and definitely our opponent moving in his infantry now into the point and digging in. The cap weight is definitely in their favor, because our infantry numbers at point really haven't changed that much, maybe like a guy or two less. So he's got the weight, which is really unfortunate, but it's all about, to my understanding from what I've been testing, it's all about playing for time against the Brits, and we're already at this almost 8-minute mark with a 4-17 lead. So it's pretty good, I would say, for most of my games against them. It's not usually this high this early. So I think Solheim just playing really passive kind of helped me out here. Well, it did help me out. It's not really a question, but we'll bring in some guys. We did smoke out to get these guys into the point, and my other initial plan with doing that was also to be able to get the pack up a little closer, but I don't know if he had line of sight and saw the pack coming or what, but he does seem to have moved the Crusader back, as it is no longer shelling us in middle. So, still has cap weight. We're going to play around with the half track a little bit, try to get it into some decent positions. I see the infantry blob in the minimap come in, so I am going to move the Lukes over and reorient the half track to kind of deal with this push. I know he is bringing over the Stuart based on the minimap as well. So I am now going to try to get the pack set up correctly to deal with that, although it is loaded with HE now that I'm noticing. So not the best setup if I do get it in position in time. But the half track does deflect the first shot, which is great. And we do manage to pretty much rinse that full squad before we do lose it. So I would say it's a worthwhile trade. It definitely did its worth in terms of MP value. And we are just in range of the Stewart. We do manage to switch it. I did notice. And we do get a very nice lucky shot on it. I believe it could be engined. But that one definitely should have taken out the engine now. So Stewart we should be able to deal with fairly effectively here. I can pull back the Lukes, although he does have a couple guys still kind of hanging out here. And I did also, as you saw, bring in an officer to the middle, which I kind of have two thoughts. I can either bring him into the center directly to get that cap weight back up early, or I can kind of spot with him. So I'll have options. And for now, with this one, I am going to do spotting early. He's just past me in terms of point value. And I feel fairly confident right now. I feel fairly confident that I can kind of deal with the Crusader, especially since I've got line of sight on it over there, over by his point, and he's just kind of sitting with it. So I really don't have much to worry about right now. I can just kind of play for time still, and then just kind of keep pushing into middle with as many squads as I can. The whole objective here is to not lose as many infantry as possible. So we're doing pretty good so far, especially considering we nearly neutralized the point, which is pretty good. All the MG42s are doing work. And we also have the Lukes too, which absolutely can do some damage. But I just don't want to risk losing it to the Crusader. Because I know he's off minimap now, but if I were him, he's around. He's got to be pushing it to kind of counter me, would be my guess. But I'm going to run in some of the guys that don't have ammo, run them into the point, just kind of get that value up. I do see the Stewart is back in action. We can fully destroy it, which is a bit unfortunate, but maybe we can get one of these Panzerfausts up there to deal with it. And we do now have cap weight as well, which is fantastic. So we are retaking the middle, which is great. And pretty much just in time, too. We're in a really good place. We're in a really good place, and I don't even really need to call in anything, although I don't have the cap space for it anyway. But we can kind of just continue to play around here and hold. And I'm going to waste some of these guys who don't have ammo just to get the cap weight back. I don't need them. I can easily just replenish them. I'd rather just get a full squad at this point. So we'll rush them up, let the AI kind of throw some grenades. And I am continuing the spot as well, because I do want to try to always keep eyes on the Crusader if I can. Or, you know, you never know. See whatever other type of juicy target might be back there. Something like an officer or a sniper or something. But we do get some miraculous line of sight on the Crusader over by his point. Might be from that one lone guy that we still have over there. And something I would probably do, or I should be doing at this point, is getting probably a single buy out to my far left. Which I do realize right as I'm saying it. So I want a single buy out there. My only fear, because I've had it happen and I will do it as well, if there's any gap like that, it's so easy to just get for instance, a Piat right behind your lines. Especially with tier 2 coming up, I want to protect my line as best as I can, because I do not want a Piat to take out the Brumbar, in this case, immediately as soon as I call it in. So single guy out, he'll just kind of hold and just keep line of sight. I don't need to push him too far out though, especially if we hit contact, which I'm expecting, which yeah, looks like we do immediately. But we do handily have the middle, thankfully, and we are able to get some of these higher cap infantry in terms of the Fallschirmjäger. And there is a lull. So he is a very passive British player, which is good for me, probably not the best for him. He can still counter me very easily once we get to tier 2. If he calls the challenger and I'm pushing in with the Barumbar, I mean, I think that thing has 210 range if I'm not mistaken. So, and it'll easily pen the lower frontal plate, especially on a flat map like this. This map is very good for the British, in my opinion, especially the irregular British doctrine. So we will see. We will see. But I do go with it. I don't really know what else I would have gone. The West, maybe, but I don't know. I don't think the West would have been as good to really kind of deal with the numbers of infantry that are kind of on this point. Or not on this point, but will be on this point, I'd expect. And I'd rather have the Brumbar. Because I could probably go head-to-head with most of the vehicles, I'd say. But I would have, if I was him, I probably would have gone a little more aggressive with that Crusader. He's playing very passive. Or maybe put more pressure on my home point after his initial push. I'm really just playing a counter game here on him, and he's just kind of letting me stack the middle at this point. And with just a couple guys on my home point, I mean, one decent push, and he for sure would have taken me out. I would have expected it. But we're gonna try to rework that left side because I want to push him if I can. I don't want to be complacent with just the 2 cap. Because the longer the game goes on, the harder it's going to get. And then we do end up facing a heavy, and it is a Churchill, but it's the Mark 5 CS. So we don't get the 8, we get the 5 instead. So still annoying to have to deal with this. But at the very least, the armor is much easier to penetrate, which you know, we'll take. At least we can pen that thing frontally. The 8 is just impossible to pen. It's so difficult to pen frontally. You almost have to track it and then go on the side. Try to get a side shot somehow. But, I mean, the thing has 180 range, so it's going to get first shot on the Brumbar or the Sturmpanzer here. So, difficult. But we pretty much have the same idea at this point. Just funnel infantry into the middle, and then close support weapons to kind of deal with it. But I'll definitely have a larger HE value, thankfully. And I do think the Mark 5 has a smaller shell than the Mark 8, so that's also kind of a saving grace there. We'll start taking out his foxholes as he's kind of taking out the ruins that we have here. And I'm going to try to move up a Panzer Shrek as well a little bit, maybe into this compound. Just because I have been able to work out on some games getting a Shrek up far enough to where if they go behind kind of that compound on their side, behind the middle point, I can kind of hit them from that compound, so it's a good spot. It's kind of control for the most part. And we've been pretty lucky in terms of our cap value as well. Although I think he's probably going with that Churchill, spent up a lot of his MP at the moment. but he just has not been able to get cap value in the center whatsoever. And it's allowed us to get out to a very hefty 720 lead now. But something you've probably been seeing throughout the video here, and something that I kind of picked up recently that I actually didn't know with over 1,200 hours played. I didn't realize that machine gunners or any like machine gun unit automatically refills ammo from anyone in the squad that they're attached to. That carries it. So, like for instance, with the Germans, it's going to be the carriers or the MG assistants. With the Brits, pretty much every guy carries Bren ammo, so you can always just kind of replenish as long as the Bren's part of the squad. I had no idea, so that's new to me. So I've been kind of picking those guys out every time I call in a squad, keeping them separate. But we do get a nice Shrek on the Stuart, thanks to this compound. We did run right by a guy that is in that barn, so I did see that out of the corner of my eye. But Stuart is down once again. And that's probably right in time, too, for what we need, because it looks like he was starting to amass for a push, maybe a counter push to our push on that side. So now it's just going to be infantry on infantry over there, unless he brings in one of the other vehicles, which looks like he might be bringing over, I'm assuming that's the half track from the start of the game. That's kind of been sitting on his side. So he's had a lot of vehicles, a lot of utilities that are just kind of sitting, not doing too much. And it looks like the Churchill might be out of ammo too, because now he's firing off smoke. So he probably had it on direct fire, or not direct fire, but like attack ground. And he's just kind of been wasting ammo running out there. But we're gonna go for the Lukes. I want to try to take out this half track if I can. He definitely runs it off. So at this point, I'm just gonna take the AP that I got loaded and deal with some of these guys here. And I do see that he is also now bringing over the Crusader AA to counter. So I'm going to try to push up the pack. I got to get the Lukes kind of out of there. He's taking that compound. I'm going to try for a cheeky shot at the guy right in front, but we do miss. And I did move over the Sternpanzer as well. And I'm going to try to take a shot on these guys in the building, if I can. The arc isn't as good as the CS ones from British, but it's decent enough. And looks like we probably hit the building in front, unfortunately. So they will live to fight another day. And he is still moving over the Crusader AA as well to that side too. But the Sternpanzer seems to have scared him off yet again, because I can see in the minimap that full squad is now running. So we've scared him off more than we've done damage per se to his units. And I want to try to get rid of this solo guy that's just kind of in this barn, so that I can kind of make some moves with the Shreks and the rest of my infantry. So we'll go with grenades. We'll go with the Sternpanzer. I can kind of afford to sit here in the micro for a minute, because there's not much going on, and I still got cap weight. I don't normally recommend doing this. Guy moved off from the grenade and survives somehow. I don't know. It's shocking. And he eats a second grenade, man. I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. Yeah, I see these two guys moving up out of the corner of my eye, and it's actually an AT team. But unfortunately, both of these guys have no ammo. So I get lucky with one on a grenade. I clicked on him to try to, I don't know, go hand to hand, but the sniper thankfully takes him out after the guy throws two nades. He's moved the Crusader A back over to the middle. So I'm going to try to move up the pack once again. Smoke it out. Sternpanzer's in a decent position to kind of deal with the infantry that he just pushed into the middle. especially as our numbers are getting lower thanks to the Churchill, which does seem to have coming back with more ammo. And the sniper's been doing some work, but I'm going to try to now orient him towards the middle to kind of help this push that he's making. And we do also have more Fallschirmjäger, thankfully, coming up with high heavy cap weight, which is nice for us. Yeah, I think his passive play has kind of allowed us to sit on our MP, because I don't have to spam out cheap squads to kind of match the infantry numbers. He's played very passive, and I've pretty much been CP locked or near CP locked for most part of this game now, especially in the second half. So it's really kind of allowed us to save and not have to spam those cheap units that then just get destroyed so quickly. So it's definitely something I probably would have adjusted or changed with his playstyle here, unfortunately. But I am now going to officially decide to make my push. We're going to call in some Gross Deutschland. I do feel that we kind of, we've done a decent enough job at holding middle. He's got to go through a lot on our point to get to it, especially if he's still hanging out around the back and my forward guys. And we're going to attempt, he's got range on me. We're going to attempt the Sturmpanzer now against the Churchill. We're just out of range, which is probably the downfall. And he does track us with the first shot and kill 2 crew. Second one tracks us fully. Stun locks us. Third shot, 2 more deads. Now we're down to 2 guys left. By the time we get to the third, or our second shot, I should say, he's already on, what is that, 4 shots, which is really unfortunate. So he does kill the 2 remaining crew, but he didn't destroy it. So we're going to call in a tank crew, try to get those guys up there ASAP. And this is where he really should have gone all out. I will admit, this was his chance. After decrewing the Sturmpanzer here, all I have is the boots. I'm looking at my options. I could go with another Sturmpanzer. It's definitely a possibility if I need to, if I get the CP for it. My push here, I've now got to kind of push to the side and wait on it because I'm very nervous about the middle. So I'm just going to get these guys all kind of prone behind this berm where they'll kind of hopefully survive. I bring over the Lukes to kind of just play for time in the middle while this crew gets here. And I'm going to smoke with whoever has smokes to kind of maybe give myself an advantage. But he thankfully shoots, so I can see where it is. It's right on the cusp of my range. And with the 1 shot, I do hull break him. Very lucky shot. It hits right underneath him. And we hull break him. So we dealt with that. He really should have probably focus fired on the Brumbar to full kill it when he had the chance. He hasn't used his DP. So, I mean, I'm expecting the Challenger now. 100% expecting the Challenger. I'm trying to full kill him with the Sturmpanzer. And now I'm going to try to back it up. I hear when I go over there in the Fog of War, the Challenger. I know it's the Challenger. I've played it multiple times. I know what it sounds like. I know it's coming. I'm going to try to back up. There's no way I can turn around and run. 100%. I am not feeling confident that the Sturmpanzer is going to live, but it did its job. It did what it needed to, I guess. And we do have something on the mini-map. Unsure what it is, but it's a safe bet that it is the Challenger. So the Sturmpanzer is officially down. Really unfortunate. Did its job. That's a pretty big loss for us. We barely have cap weight in the middle, and I need to get that Luke's out of there. I do not get it out in time, so we do lose, was that 3 crew, 2 crew, and the turret's down, but he does thankfully miss his second shot. I want to get the pack up, because at this point, it's not really doing much, hasn't really done much at the beginning, and he's just outranging me. And I need to be able to deal with this Crusader. Fortunately, there's a dead Cromwell, part of the terrain, on the road. I can't see it in the smoke. So my first shot hits that. The Challenger APs one of the crew, and I move right in line of sight of the post. So stupid. The pack's done. We thankfully hit tier 3. We bring in the Sturm Morser, which was really going to be my go-to if I made it to tier 3 against the irregular Brits. The Brumbar Sturmpanzer would have been kind of the contesting thing, but I probably would have needed the Sturm Morser to really finish him off, especially with how cheap those Churchill Mark 8s are. At this point, I feel like I can kind of start making a push on his point, since he's kind of investing a lot into the middle now. I'm trying to repair the Brumbar, but he is focus firing it, which is smart on him. I'm checking the range. I want to go head to head with it now, but I realize how far out of range I'm going to be. And he's also calling it a plane, which in theory should be a recon plane. So it's not smart for me to do this push. There's no terrain for me to really hide behind other than the building, and he's going to outrange me. And I'm just going to kind of position lock myself there. So I don't go for it. I back off, put a shell into the middle, does nothing. Now we're going to take advantage, rush in a couple of these guys into the point. Brumbar is full killed, although we did save one of the vet 3s. You see the guy in the building, and one of my guys makes it into his point, and lo and behold, there is either no one there, or the cap value of those Gross Deutschland guys is much higher. So we're able to get 1, maybe 2. Nah, minimap shows he did die. So we do manage to get 1 guy in there, and we are decapping it. So this actually buys us more time. He's got mid, but he's lost his home point. Here we're going to switch out one of the crew for the vet 3 guy, just to get some vet 3 on the Sturm Morser, get a little more accurate, get that vet level up. And the other guy's just going to go into the... And we are still capping his point, so he doesn't have infantry in there yet, nothing to kind of decap. I'm looking at my MP and I realize I've got 1,200 saved. So I could get a Panther. I could go for a Tiger very shortly, 5 MP. We're going to go for the Tiger. So it's very rare in 1v1s, especially against good players, that I feel like I have enough MP save to make it to a heavy tier 3 MP tank. This is very lucky. And it all, again, just comes down to the fact that he wasn't pushing me at the start, or as hard throughout the entire game. He played way too passive, allowing me to get back down. So with that, I'm going to bring it up to kind of support the Sturm Morser here, but I'm 100% going for it. He's distracted. I'm going to try to utilize these 2 buildings to my advantage. I'm kind of just skirting it, and we skirt just enough that we bounce his first shot, and we send a nuclear missile at that fool. 1 hit quit. Challenger is down. Such a good feeling. So much elation. And then we're going to bring up the Tiger to finish off this Churchill. And at this point, I am riding a high on this game. I feel so good. So good. And he calls it. He's got nothing. So we hit him with a GG. Well played. It was a very fun game. I was very, very happy with this result, although he could have absolutely played a little bit better. But hope you guys enjoyed, and we will catch you on the next one.